Stacks. Thanks for checking out my channel, Everything Stacks. So I wanted to do a review, top 5 things I like about TastyWorks, and one thing that might make me use TastyWorks less for my day trading. So what I like about TastyWorks, number one thing I like is their portal when you're wiring money. So far, that's the equivalent of TD Ameritrade, Thinkorswim. I really like how I can, do a wire, and love that functionality. Actually, the other thing that I'll give them over Thinkorswim is that they will do instant deposits, which basically means that they will, if you deposit, let's say $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, they'll allow you to gain access to that buying power immediately, which is great. You can wire money out, so that'll be number one. Their deposit and withdrawals and their instant deposit, I love that. Okay. 2, I like their charting a lot. I usually would say I would go with Toss, Thinkorswim over TastyWorks, but overall, one of the things that I've noticed, and I don't know if it's related to my setup or what, but I have compared tick to tick as far as the printing of candles between Toss and TastyWorks, and it seems like at times, I would say 95% of the time, TastyWorks is leading in the plotting of this data. So for whatever reason, their data seems to be getting to me faster, better, however you want to say that, okay? So definitely the plotting of the candles, so data transfer, whatever we want to say, related to the data that's going between the brokerage, my internet connection, and their servers. So yeah, so number 2 is going to be the charts related to the data, the brokerage data. Just as a comparable to Thinkorswim, I've noticed that the plotting, now on the bid and the ask, I've noticed that with TOS, sometimes plotting of candles might not happen, but sometimes the bid and ask are still moving. I would still give the upper hand to TastyWorks. On charting from the standpoint of data being delivered. So this is kind of like a 2-part number 2. It's charting related to data, okay? So outside of that, I got this position, it's down a little bit, still up for the day. Let's go ahead and move. Number 3 is on margin accounts. They allow spreads for accounts under $2,000. I think that's good for some traders. If anybody knows me, I'm not a big option spread trader. I think TastyWorks is a good platform. If you really follow those guys, TastyWorks is a real, what I would say, education source of different option trading methods, and that's great. And they give the ability to the smaller trader to be able to do different credit spreads and debit spreads with the minimal amount. I think probably the least amount in the industry. Now, I will say that with that ability, anybody trading spreads need to be aware of that final day of expiration and not getting into a scenario. And I'll talk about this a little bit later, getting into a scenario where one of your legs goes in the money and blows up your account. So and that's something you need to research. But if you're going to be maybe not so much a directional trader, and you're looking at spreads, I would give kudos to TastyWorks. Thinkorswim is good, but there's going to be more capital required. Okay, and that was number 3. Number 4, I'm going to say number 4 is their community. I think from a standpoint of their community, they've got some good insight on what other people are doing. I don't, for me, I'm a directional. So if I go in here, you see that, there's a lot of different plays, but I think it's a good community. So definitely, the community would be number 4 of my top 5 things that I like. Let's go ahead and move into number 5. Number 5 is just kind of like the layout. It takes a little bit of time to get used to it. And initially, I didn't know about the tasty charts, and I can plop out this and have multiple charts on multiple windows, which is paramount in a lot of my trading. Actually, on my iMac, I have my iMac, and then I have a 27-inch widescreen, and that's got my TastyWorks on it, and the iMac screen has my Thinkorswim, and then I have this little compartment of kind of stocks that I watch, and that's great for me. Also, I think, was that number 4? Number 4 or 5. We're wrapping up on what I like, but I've got more used to this the table look. I'm not. I think the grid look is kind of some of the appearance that you'll get from some of the TastyWork community. It is what it is. Let's see what the active looks like. Yeah, for me, the table, let's see, what grid. Probably table's my favorite look for options. So that's that on the pros. So top 5 pros, I like the transfer, and just kind of go back through some of the stuff that I was talking about. This isn't scripted. This is just straight going to the point, the meat and potatoes. Now I want to get into the one biggest concern. It's no fault of TastyWorks from what I can gather, but they're risk managers. And when you have certain strategies like I have, which would be on expiration, day trading of options, when you are holding options in bulk towards the end of the day, there is risk managers, I'm going to use that phrase, that are behind the scenes at these different brokerages, exiting positions on accounts automatically based on potential risk or risk that a trade might be in. So normally when you're in let's just say, out of the money option, a lot of times it expires worthless. Now I'm not going to be talking about any type of spreads or specifically talking about directional options. So normally what I was accustomed to with Thinkorswim is that really with a directional option, if I was in a potential risk management observation, it would be the last 15 minutes of the day. So that would be from 3:45 to 4 o'clock, meaning that, even if I was in the money at 3:40, about 3:45, Thinkorswim would potentially close my trade. Now, why would that be? well, let's just say we have a big Amazon position. Let's just say we have 20 contracts, or even let's just say you're a smaller account and you just don't have what it takes to cover one contract, which is 100 shares in a specific option, whether it's a call or a put. So what the risk managers do, they come in and they exit the position so that there is no transfer of risk of your account being exercised on those options. One thing I've noticed, at least with Thinkorswim, for the most part, that I like a little bit more for my strategy is that they don't exit out of the money options like I've seen TastyWorks do. So normally, the whole concept of in the money, out of the money, where you can be at the money. And what I've found is that some of these risk managers are exiting positions that are close to the money in potential, I guess, preparation for it to be at the money or in the money, okay? Meaning your account can't cover 100 shares or 200 shares of that underlying instrument. So in turn, what happens is they risk manage you out. And, you know, that can end up a winning or a losing trade. I reached out to them the first time it happened because I was in a trade and I wasn't in the money. It would have expired out of the money. It would have been like, let's just say 100% loss. The trade still ended up being a loss. But my bigger thing was, why was I executed? And the answer was more, it was at their discretion that, hey, this could have went in the money, could have went your way, and you wouldn't have had the funds to cover the position. My understanding is that that risk management kind of kicked in at about 4:30. And what I noticed is that actually this past Friday, that 4:30, so imagine, I'm used to Thinkorswim. I'm trading with the TOS platform for many years. I go in using TastyWorks, and I'm in a position and I think, well, they're going to risk manage me. Anything 4:30 or after, they have the right to close out that position. Whether it's in the money, at the money, or whatever, there's potential that it'll be closed out by the brokerage. Well, what I found on Friday is that actually happened earlier. Happened about 4. It was in the 4:20. It was close to 4:30. It wasn't 4:30. So my bigger concern is, if there's a bigger drop. There was a bigger drop in that. I still was profitable on that trade. I don't know for that strategy if TastyWorks would be viable. Now, maybe the response would be, look, he does not have enough to cover, 1,000, 2,000 shares of Amazon, because that's basically what your contracts are saying. So what we're going to do is we're going to defer that risk. We're going to exit the position because that's not acceptable. I could understand that if the option was at the money or in the money. Being close to the money is still technically out of the money. So that's something that is a little bit harder to grasp. Especially if you're not in the money or at the money and they've closed you prior to 4:30 or really the last 15 minutes of trading. And I can understand, they can say, well, hey, they've got a bunch of clients or their staff is only so much, and maybe that's why. They haven't indicated that, but it could be playing into the reasoning. But regardless of that, Just to wrap up, great platform. I didn't talk about their commission costs. Seem to be probably on par with industry. Beyond that, charting is great. I have no complaints here. I think overall everything is, great platform. I will keep my two accounts open with them. I think that some of my trading will have to be pushed over to TOS, just just based on certain factors of a strategy that I have. But I think that that's something that everybody should be aware of. And hopefully you found this informative. So what I give TastyWorks 2 thumbs up. I think the guys did great. I think it's a good alternative to Thinkorswim. I know this year in 2020, Thinkorswim had some data issues, some charting issues, and I think that TastyWorks gets my 2 thumbs up, seal of approval for a brokerage. Just be mindful of a big scenario if you're trading expiration options, day of expiration options towards the end of the day. You could be closed out if your account balance does not equal or is not above what it would cost to carry those shares. And that is very significant. I mean, it's very important to understand that. Hopefully this helps, guys. I'll have some live trading. I'll do some live trading on Thinkorswim. I'll do some live trading on TOS coming up, TastyWorks. I'm going to talk about other brokerages. Obviously, I'm in a live trade, Zooms, bouncing up from the lows. I think I'll swing this. We'll see what happens. Take care, guys. Everything stacks.